Welcome back, everyone. Our match of the week is about to go live with Edward Gaming versus Royal Never Give Up, coming at you live out of Beijing. And I gotta say, I am so excited for this. So excited that I've swapped a different location. I'm here on the analyst desk with two wonderful people. Neither of you are Clement.
No.
I could be.
Him.
Yeah. Okay, so let's...
I like that one better.
Let's get to this matchup because we don't have a lot of time. Edward Gaming versus Royal Never Give Up. These are two of the best teams in the LPL right now. Our two representatives that we sent to Rift Rivals and absolutely smashed, excluding RNG and EDG's loss in those regards. I'm going to open up the floor, and kids on a playground, just go. Have fun.
Move over.
Get in there. What do you want to talk about?
Okay, no, we need to separate this. You said two of the best teams in the LPL. No, this is the best team in the world, RNG, versus an Edward Gaming that have shown us flashes of brilliance, but have never quite climbed back onto the throne. I'm going to call it. EDG, their time, it's over. They are no longer this formidable dynasty. At some point, we need to stop saying, you're going to be someday. You need to be today. If you do not show up in this series, if you are not competitive, then it's done. You're... then the second place, third place, possibly even sliding back to fourth place. Right now in EDG's current form, yeah, they had a good Rift Rivals performance. That's the best they've ever played, ever with that roster. And they still lost their second game. So as far as I'm concerned, from my heart, I'm an Edward Gaming fan. I love you guys, but you just have to do better right now.
Yeah.
This is where I'm gonna give a little bit of hope to you. Or at least to EDG at the very least.
This guy actually predicts EDG to win.
Yes, I did. And let me tell you why. Because this is probably EDG's best chance as I wiggle my finger and my body. Ultimately, EDG as a team moving towards Haro, that's an interesting way to go for it. I think it's good. I think it's a good change for themselves. This is the most confident we've seen Haro in the meta because Spring Split was not his split. In fact, I didn't even have him in my top 9 in terms of jungle talent there. But this time around, he's been performing well and following Mako. Works well for them. One problem that I have with RNG now, of course, is that they've been weakened without Uzi.
Have they?
Yes.
Yes. He is the best AD carry in the world.
So
yeah, but they're not playing ADCs.
Yeah, they need to prove themselves that this Fnatic-esque composition that they're riding well.
So that's a good point for us to get into in a moment. We've got to get the lineups on the screen right now so you can see that it is in fact not Uzi playing as you said. Starting off, we've got Royal Never Give Up, Let Me, Karsa, Xiaohu, Zatai, and Ming.
Boom. I said Fnatic-esque because Let Me and Zatai are playing. Last time we saw Zatai playing the mid lane as a Darius and got a pentakill to boot. So right now he's been performing well.
But the most impressive thing about RNG is that it doesn't matter who you slot into the roster. They are the best team in the world, and they're facing across from Edward Gaming. It's Ray, Haro, Scout, iBoy, and Mako.
So it's going to be EDG that are coming into this one as contenders, real contenders, up against the best team as you've mentioned. I want to see what RNG look like with their Zatai composition. If the communication dies out, if the focus fades away without an AD carry in the bottom side of the map, that's my test, and I feel like that test is a tough one. That's why I had EDG winning out.
Well, we'll have to see if that's going to be true to your prediction. That said, Pick and Ban has just started. Now it's time for our casters to get us into this match of the week.
Thank you, Dom, and hello, you beautiful and magnificent people of the internet. Matthew Stewart joining me is the dashing devil himself, Zach Rusty Pie. We're about to get straight into Champions League for the match of the week, because we finally got there. I know it's been a long day. We barely got through a single set. Actually, we didn't even get through a single set, but it is here. RNG taking on EDG.
And all that matters is that we're in Champion Select. Nion immediately for RNG against EDG. Talia is the first lock-in for RNG, which usually means that a Nocturne has been banned and Talia hasn't been. However, in this draft, both are in fact available. So that's what you're looking at for EDG. Do they go that direction, or do they go the bruiser, the fighter, into a Talia?
For now, they're picking up Camille. That could be their jungler of choice, or they could potentially send Ray with Camille heading into the top lane. The bans that came out from RNG were going to be 2 AD carry bans of Lucian, as well as Ashe, Zoe being banned out against Scouts. Swain, Aatrox, and Vladimir were the bans that came out from EDG. Galio locked in to pair up the combination between Camille as well as Galio.
That's a good way to start off the draft if you're EDG, locking yourself in a Galio and a Camille combo. We've seen it from Invictus Gaming a whole bunch of times, and we know it's effective and we know it works, and most likely going to see Haro and Scout locking that one down. The rest of their composition doesn't matter as much now they've got the team fight sorted.
But they're going towards more global ultimates on the side of RNG. Shen's been locked in. Could be top lane pick for Let Me, or potentially Ming's pick in the bottom lane, where we've seen it as a more common pick with the current meta.
I like that sign's advertising Xiaohu's socials as well. That's how in-depth the fans are here in the Beijing arena. Of course, they are given the signs, I believe, as they enter.
Sometimes.
Goodie
Some of the signs are given out by the team, some of the signs are there at the venue, some of them you actually make yourself outside the venue itself. But smash that follow button, I should say, on all of Xiaohu's social media, as Darius is the final lock-in in the first draft phase for RNG.
Now, this is usually going to Zatai, so you can see that Zatai is in the bottom lane position, but actually do not be fooled. Xiaohu has been playing with Ming down in that 2v2 in the bottom lane, and that means Zatai has primarily, of course, only in the 2 games we've seen, been going mid lane. Darius was one of his picks, so don't be surprised if that's where it goes.
It's not something new either. RNG have been playing with Xiaohu in the bottom lane paired up with Ming whenever they ran a gold funnel composition with Uzi on the roster. Zatai playing in the mid lane is new, however, we'll have to keep track and see if he does move into the mid lane. Varus was the next lock-in for EDG as their AD carry of choice for iBoy.
Yeah, Varus still a good champion. Now, iBoy has only played 3 champions so far this split. This will be his 4th, but it's still an AD carry. Varus to be seen. He's got 6 Kaisers, 5 Lucians, 2 Ashes. Now 1 Varus.
The next few bans coming out going to be targeting different pools for EDG to decide to take away a few junglers, thinking that Xiaohu will be playing Taliyah in the mid lane or potentially in the bottom lane paired up with Ming. Sejuani was the ban from EDG, taking away one of Karsa's picks. Morgana is the ban from RNG, targeting the bottom lane from EDG.
With the Shen secured, perhaps it does mean Shen's going into the bottom lane for Ming. With the Morgana gone, I would expect that, you know, Morgana very good into the likes of a Galio Camille with that spell shield available, but no. RNG choose to ban that one away. Alongside it, you may see something like the Tahm Kench, another support. Perhaps Alistar is the champion of choice. We mentioned Tahm Kench, that's where I'd be looking at maybe for Mako now.
They get the first pick in the second draft phase. Pairs up nicely with the Varus pick. This is the hotfix patch 8.13. So a couple of 80 carries, including Varus, got some quality of life buffs.
We saw 2 hovers there. I would like the Rakan personally more, make that Wombo even better, but Tahm Kench provides a different style of flavor. It's some early game rotations, some mid game map movements as well, and a decent amount of lane control. Not something that can keep up with the likes of a Rakan, but does still do a lot of its own work in different ways.
Plenty of safety is provided by that Tahm Kench pick. iBoy is one of the star 80 carries of the LPL, so it makes sense to try and give him as much protection as possible. Galio even being picked up by EDG could help out, but that's probably going to be used with the combination of Haro's potential pick of Camille. Now looking towards RNG, they have to show their hand here and decide what their final 2 picks for the first game are going to be. Cannon's locked in, that should be Letme's champion in the top lane.
Yeah, certainly should be. We've seen AP and AD cannons running around on the Rift as of late, so we don't really know what direction this one will go yet. We also don't know what his lane matchup will be, which is most likely what he is waiting for. A lot of the cannons have been picked into the likes of Dr. Mundo, who is up and is available. So that's what you're looking at. Will Ray play the tanks? And I mean, Ray's also that cannon enthusiast, so it might even just be a takeaway.
He's got a mixed bag of a champion pool, Ray. He's happy to play tanks in the top lane. Dr. Mundo and Darius are tied for his most played in the LPL so far. But he has gone towards the carries like Aatrox before his rework. Kled even Singe from time to time. But rounding out RNG's composition was Gragas. Now wait and see what EDG play towards the top side of the map.
You saw the Gangplank hover, the Mundo now being looked at also. Mundo provides a frontline beef for them, some tankiness. The Gangplank provides some damage, and with the Camille Galio combo, often whilst they do look like a high damage duo, they don't provide an abundance of DPS. It's more about the engage, and they throw themselves at their opponents to successfully find those starts of fights. And Gangplank is a lot of follow-up damage, still has the ultimate that can hit the same AoE as both ultimates of Camille and Galio, and rounds out the combination of EDG's comp very well. Gives them some kiting, gives them some forward momentum.
Especially important when the Hextech ultimate locks you in an area. You can't escape from that unless you get Camille out of there or she dies.
And that's an interesting point though, because that Hextech ultimatum is staring down the barrel of a Gragas and a Taliyah shove. So there's 2 potential things that might be able to get the Camille out of her ultimatum. The Gragas is the big one, however. Lee Sin, Gragas, the 2 traditional picks if you want to try and remove her and remove part of that combo.
And Gragas was the final pick for RNG heading into their jungle. That means that we should see Taliyah be picked up in another position for them.
Yeah, most likely to be seen in that middle lane then as well.
Bottom lane, potentially then.
Well, yeah, picked up for Xiaohu.
Picked up for Xiaohu, the mid laner of RNG, who's going to go into the bottom lane for RNG.
Wherever they choose to go, RNG. And that's one of the strengths of this combination of champions, of players more specifically. Zatai, Letme, Xiaohu, all of them can play different roles. There's 2 top laners and there's a mid laner who's only played bottom. since they have joined the ranks, and that's always curious to me. They could just favor the matchups. They could also favor the champions on the players that have more expertise in those roles.
And we could talk more about RNG's composition because we've seen them swap out players. Uzi's not playing this match. We've also seen Xiao do the likes of going towards top side of the map even. So they're known to swap out in the game itself. But what are they planning to do with this composition for game one?
For RNG, they've got themselves a mixed bag of a composition, really. You've got a Kennen that can team fight, can engage, a Darius that can get the resets and pop off. And I feel like a lot of this to me is get the damage, get the resets, team fight very easy to win from that point onwards. But then the Gragas throws a spanner in the works because it's about diffusing their opponent's composition, can actually disrupt their own one, and does cause a little bit of trouble perhaps for the composition of RNG. I think both compositions, honestly, have a lot of engage, a lot of disengage, a lot of forward and backward momentum. And it's going to come down to those mechanical plays and if they can keep up with their opponents. And what better a matchup to have exactly that?
So seems to be a brawl-heavy game for game one of the match of the week. I wouldn't have it any other way, Rusty. RNG will take on EDG. It's a rematch of the spring finals of the LPL. We're going to get on to Summoner's Rift for game number one, this best 3 series. Fans from both squads have flocked to the arena in Beijing where RNG Stadium is currently at. And every single stadium has a different chant. We see the drums at WE Chongqing with their unique chants. For RNG, it's one man asking the crowd, "Who are we?" with a reply of RNG following up.
That was dope. It's just cool to hear that from RNG. The personalized chants are always exciting, but just the sheer numbers that have come out, as Ming does need to be careful at level 1. But RNG Stadium in Beijing, one of the biggest alongside Team WE's, and you can hear the crowd in full force in support of both teams today.
And RNG are the heroes of China at the moment. They were able to take down the LCK in Game 5 of Rift Rivals. We saw them bring home the MSI trophy as well.
Yep.
EDG falling short in that final match in the spring split. But we go into this first match of the best of 3. Haro started at red buff, didn't clear anything else, moved straight towards the bottom side of the river.
Oh, Haro over the level 2 gank. Camille is one of those uniquely capable champions with the flash hookshot engage. Here she goes.
Jumps in, but good flash away from Tatai, respects the gank coming out from EDG, lives to fight another day.
And Haro chooses not to flash of his own accord as well, just gets rid of the flash from the Darius, and it's a flash exhaust. Darius at that, not even having the teleport. So if that was damage put down onto Zatai, could have had a really bad start to this game. However, he chooses to waste the Summoner spell as a precautionary measure.
Respectful.
Definitely respectful, definitely necessary, and he's able to stay in that lane.
Haro decides not to follow up with a flash of his own, trying to predict that coming out from Tatai. Very short lane in the mid lane, so he should have been relatively safe anyway. We check in with the top side of the map. It's going to be Kennen playing up against a gangplank by Ray. Not too much happening there, just Kennen shoving in nice and early. And you kind of expect this in the mid lane matchup. Both of them are melee-based champions. Tatai should get the better of the trades to start.
Yeah, you'll also notice that, actually, we'll let this talk go. A nice little save from Mako. You'll notice that in the mid lane, when you look at the items that have been purchased, it's a Dark Seal from Scout, so he's not looking to win lane immediately, but
Taunt comes through as well as the follow-up stun, and Tatai not long for this. Well, first blood picked up by Haro.
But that's where Haro makes the difference. Not once, but twice he comes to the middle lane, gets the flash the first time, and everyone knows it's going to happen the second time. But what can you do? He's gone for the exhaust, not the cleanse, so he can't get out of a Galio taunt. He's just going to die from the layering of crowd control. That's really nice from EDG so far.
He's going to lose a decent amount of experience as well as CS in that mid lane too. Scout's going to stay there, has his own teleport.
Haro now looking towards another lane as well. Let me just place the ward though. So Haro, whilst he knows the ward is there, does give time for the lightning rush to safety.
He stayed in Fog of War for so long, follows up with the flash of his own, tries to chase him down. One more auto attack, not going to be enough. Tries to get the low sweep through. Ray not close enough for one final parlay.
Just a second away from the turret actually getting the kill for Let Me in that first place. Haro playing with fire in this case, but doing so in a very, I would say, MLXG-esque style. He's just throwing himself around the map on this Camille, getting ganks going. And whether it's a kill or not, seems like he's going to continue to follow that strategy along. And so far, really, it's been wildly successful. When you look towards mid lane, having that Dark Seal refillable start, he's got him through that point in the game to the Blasting Wand.
Whereas Caster's able to spot out Haro trying to take his own Krugs. Gets the smite down and steals the big Krug away. We'll deal with the rest of the camp as well. As Haro's a little bit too low to clear the rest of his jungle. So smart moves coming out from Caster. He's able to track down Haro and get some counter jungling while Haro's been able to get all these ganks off.
I'm sure the rest of RNG are saying it's about time, Caster, but really Caster's just found his first opportunity. Double the CS of his respective opponent here on this Gragas, so he'll be closer to level 6. And by taking away those Krugs, knowing that Haro was there on low health also, sets up the rest of the map with that knowledge, and knowledge definitely power in this case.
Level 6 is going to be important for him, but he's still going for a gank against Ray. Tops on map level 4. Tanks the turret first, puts down a lot of damage. He has to flash away. Let me will get that kill. Caster was in trouble, but does escape.
Yeah, let me able to get the kills there. The Q missed at the very start, but Caster able to hit that body slam, so regardless, they'll get those kills. And a lot of turrets being tanked, a lot of health being lost to these objectives, but at the end of the day, the kills are still going down. The execution from each respective team that is being the engager or the initiator has been on point. So let me. He gets in here. He's able to utilize, of course, the fact that the turret was hitting the Gragas.
Gets all the damage down onto Ray that he needed. And RNG fight back with some aggression of their own. Diving top side of the map. Things are still dead even between EDG as well as RNG. That started as you predicted earlier, Rusty. It's been brawl heavy, lots of ganks being thrown up by Haro. Caster a little bit slower to the punch, but finding ganks of his own.
That's what happens when you throw bruises everywhere. For the side of EDG, the difference is in that bottom lane, though. Having the Varus Tahm Kench, perhaps being freed up at level 6 as well is something to consider.
It's really safe right now, though.
Yeah, that's no way to kill that. It's an unsealed spellbook, so it's a cleanse on that Tahm Kench. You're not going to kill him. No Shen taunt will stop Mako from saving that Eye-Boy.
We saw a max range taunt coming out from Ming, locking Eye-Boy down underneath the turret. But because Mako is playing Tahm Kench, saves him, allows Varus to continue pushing the way he has been so far. Caster's still level 5 with only 1 teleport on the top side of the map for RNG. Means it's difficult for them to do anything about this lane.
You know what you would be doing, though, if you were Caster, is getting level 6 and going to bottom if you could. Of course, it's not going to be a heal for Eye-Boy yet. It's on cooldown. And there's no exhaust available for Mako. So that's a place that you could gank, but mid first.
It's going to be a brawl in the mid lane. Haro's level 4. Gangplank ultimate gets thrown out. Great taunt coming out from Scout. Now RNG are the team that's in trouble. First kill goes to Haro to die. Gonna follow shortly after. Uppercut comes through. Scout picks up the second.
EDG get the 2-for-0 trade there from Haro just being available to counter gank. Scout also being level 6. That's a very big deal coming back in and helping Haro. It was a double taunt into a double stun. And it's mechanical stuff here for EDG that they're doing so very well. And the cerebral positioning from Haro, just knowing where his opponent's going to be, is hit a counter gank at the perfect timing. And it's all inside a Gangplank ultimate. That's the secret MVP here, of course, from Ray. Getting all of that extra damage off, finds themselves the easy 2 kills.
I mean, we don't see the combination of the Hextech ultimate, and neither do we see a level 6 caster to defuse that situation. But great counter gank coming out from EDG, and Haro has started this match perfectly so far. Even though he was invaded on by Caster after going for the first 2 ganks, he's still been able to keep up with the pressure.
I mean, he's now 2-0-1. Yeah, so he's not behind it. Like, the farm difference that we saw earlier doesn't mean a great deal if you're still successfully getting the kills. You'll have more gold than your opponent.
About a kill worth in CS difference to Caster.
Yeah, so there's just a comprehensive advantage, though, for Haro in the end by having those extra kills and the assist. Of course, one of them being the first blood on top of all of that. And for Caster, now that he's finally ticked over to level 6, he's looking at the lanes that he could potentially gank. Now, a cannon very good to gank for. Gangplank hard to gank. So it's going to be a difficult thing to navigate in that top lane. I suggested bottom. Mako's always a possibility to kill, and usually you'll say it's hard to gank a Tahm Kench, right? And it is hard to gank a Tahm Kench, but that cleanse is gone. It's a teleport. He doesn't have a summoner spell to save himself.
But the gank's going to go through a top side of map. Haro is here once again. Might turn this into another 2-on-2, but it's a 2-on-3. Teleport's going to come down as well. Flash forward, locking down Caster. Ultimate's going to come out from Shen, but Mako's up in the top lane as well. Ming joins the fight. Taunt comes through. Lock, stab, cannon as well. Caster's going to fall, and EDG counter gank once again.
Amazing from EDG. They're everywhere on the Rift. 4-1 in kills, threatening the top lane outer turret. Will be the first in the game as well if they're able to lock this down. And that's a big enough wave that you would expect. So RNG can't make a play. Everything that they do, they're being read like a book.
And the one member from EDG who knows that book so well is now Haro. Every single time RNG have tried to make an aggressive play, he's at least caught wind of it. The only time he has not been able to do so was when he was pushed out of his own jungle by Caster.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a Krug. There was nothing more than a Krug taken in that instance. And Haro, right place, right time. Casa does cancel the hookshot engage. So it does mean that Haro has to flash ult to get on for the fight to begin. But the early teleport from Maker, the early rotation from Scout, notice that there is no Darius. He's too far away to actually get to the fight. Casa just going to have to die. He has no choice in that situation. He saw it was a mistake. He tried to disengage, but there was no way out.
And from what I was told during that replay and during the fight, top side of the map, Xiaohu as well as iBoy went for a little bit of a one-on-one, both of them burning their flash, but it was Xiaohu that was forced to flash away from the Varus. So EDG with aggression all across the map, checking in with iBoy. Bilgewater Cutlass already complete with his Berserker Greaves, so Boots 2 is up and available. He's going to be sitting pretty in that bottom lane.
Yeah, rushing the Berserker Greaves against the Talia is a smart thing to do. As Mako now trying to be aggressive. Xiaohu, no flash. Oh, you did
they
not.
Didn't see.
Don't tell anyone.
Don't.
Recall.
Haro?
No, he wants to start. No.
Haro wanted a dragon, but finds Xiaohu instead. No flash available for Talia. It's a free kill to EDG. And not only are EDG being able to track RNG, but RNG seems to just be throwing themselves at EDG at this point.
Haro just looks at the pit and says, something smells fishy about this escape from that Talia. He gets himself into the pit. Dragon MVP there.
Well, they're going to try and push even more as they push towards mid lane. Caster is here, hook shot onto the turret, just gets a bit of damage. Off you go, minions. Doesn't matter too much. EDG still chipping away at this turret.
It's
one
gone.
minion boy left, and one more auto attack will be enough. Haro picks up the turret.
All you need is that single wizard man to help take the turret down. Reduces defenses. Doesn't really make sense to me that a small wizard like that can do such a thing, but here we are. iBoy also looking towards bottom lane. Might get himself this turret if he tanks it.
Gets it.
And another turret. 3-0 in turrets. 4,000 gold lead at 11 minutes in the game. This is a pop-off from Haro if ever I've seen it.
And Haro's going to try and take this Cloud Dragon as well. I mean, we were talking about RNG. They're moving to tie into the roster while Uzi's resting from a shoulder injury. EDG have been playing more and more with Haro. We saw it throughout Spring Split. Only Cluelove coming back in towards playoffs as well as a bit during the finals. But during Summer Split, it's mostly been Haro. There were some questions on who's going to start today, but it seems like everyone thought that he would be the member to start.
And to be real with you as well, from what we've seen of Clearlove, even in the finals of Spring Split, he hasn't looked that great. So I do like that they've given Haro some time. If nothing else, having Clearlove play threatens Haro's position and motivates him to be better. Or it just makes him accept defeat. And we can very clearly see in this case that it's motivated him to be better. Since we've seen him come back, has looked pretty good.
Which was perfect for EDG because Spring Split, they introduced Haro. He had plenty of time to play. It was an up and down performance coming out from him in the jungle. Summer Split is where he really needs to step up. And stepping up in a match against RNG, even though it's just game one, it's good signs for EDG.
For those who don't know as well, this was the Spring Finals of 2018. It's the rematch of exactly that. And there is no Uzi in this game as he's out for a shoulder injury.
But iBoy is here, and we can take a look at his stats as well on the screen. He is the mechanical god, the robot almost, Mr. Destructoid himself, alongside SMLZ.
Yeah, the O's and the underscores is how everyone defines him as well. Very expressionless for the most part, but still an incredible player on Summoner's Rift, and the stats doing him justice in this game for certain. He hasn't needed to play a very big role just yet. Of course, being the Varus from level 6 onwards, you're a part of the potential engage tools for your team. And then the late game insurance policy. And I'm curious to see which build he goes. We've seen some weird Varus stuff going around, but so far so good. He's got the Blade of the Ruin King on the way.
Going towards Bork first. Keep track to see if he goes towards Rageblade next, if he goes towards a tier, like we saw from Prey in the LCK, as well as a couple of the LPL players recently.
Was there a Storm Razor from Fury if you're going to go the crazy route?
Please no. But for now, EDG are grouping up towards the top side of the map. I mentioned earlier that all of the outer turrets have been taken down. We're just 13 minutes into the match. So only real major objective to be taken after that Cloud Dragon was slain by Haro is the Rift Herald. He's going to start that now. iBoy is going to continue pressure on this top lane in the turret. Again, has Mako to keep him safe. Has the cleanse once again, so if he gets locked down, he's still able to use cleanse, disengage, and save iBoy.
iBoy does have lifesteal, so whilst he lost most of his health there, Tahm Kench held onto the Devour and said, on the next wave, if we stay, you'll get your health back anyway. End of the day, no one saw that Q iBoy, it's okay. Haro will get himself the Rift Herald for free. And it's about playing slowly now, being a bit more methodical and using the lead that you have got to try and close out this game, because that is a significant margin this early on into the piece, and they've got an opportunity to make that larger with the Rift Herald they've just secured.
That's what I was about to ask, because they can play the slow and steady, pick up the objectives like Rift Herald, throw it down in a safe lane, or they can keep up the pressure and try and make more aggressive plays. What's the right move for EDG to take here? Just play it slow and steady, not make any more risks, or take any more risks, I should say?
I mean, they're ahead of a comp that has no AD. It's going to be a cannon that has to try and fit that bill, and I think what you'd be looking at is just using your advantage to get item spikes. You know, the LPL always plays around item spikes above all else to get those team fights going, and that's what you look at. You look at EDG, you go down the list of their champions, they've got some items, so now's a great time.
Yeah, some good spikes. I mean, for the side of EDG, it's Bladed Ruin King completed boots for both iBoy as well as Scout. Scout stacking his Resort of Ages, Trinity Force complete for Ray. Only really Haro waiting for the Trinity Force of its own. Stopwatches are up and online on top of that. 3 of them for the side of EDG. And they're a brawl-heavy composition. We said that RNG would be looking for fights as well. Now that they're behind, looking for a fight is not the best possibility. So they then go towards, okay, let's find a pick, or they just sit back and relax and try and farm up against the storm of EDG.
It's very distracting to notice how many wards EDG have in fact got on the red side jungle. 2 control wards protecting the red buff. A 3rd one in the tribe wish to protect Scout. Just control everywhere around this jungle. You'd be hard-strung to not say that it was their jungle in the first place.
It's lit.
Yeah, it's well and truly lit.
We can take a look at the gold that's been acquired for EDG. Strong gold leads in the top lane, in the jungle, even bottom lane as well as AD carry. Everyone from the side of EDG ahead, and they're almost 5,000 gold up as a team. Very strong start.
I mean, the biggest thing you have to do from this point on was just prevent the pentakill from a Darius. You know, prevent the cannon getting a team fight. But being an AD cannon, it's not the easiest thing to, you know, just find a teleport flank and win the game. It's going to be a lot harder to navigate, a lot harder to do. I think in terms of lane assignments, they've got the Darius against the gangplank, and they may want to situate the cannon against the Galio for an opportunity, but even then, you try. Haro's just around the corner.
Still has the Rift Herald to throw down. That's going to expire soon. So you might want to find a time to actually use the objective.
I thought that would have been a decent time to perhaps use it. With all the outer turrets gone, it's not as simple as just placing it and making it work. Mid lane should be an okay option. Now, they aren't fully committed to it yet. They're using the vision that they currently have to try and control the area, threaten RNG away from the objective. So it is going to get a charge off. That's all turrets.
That turret's going to fall. Probably won't get a second charge, but...
No, he will.
Oh, he will.
Oh, nice.
Stopped midair.
Yeah, Shen smacks it midair. Give him that.
It still gives EDG an extra turret, a bigger gold lead than what they had previously. Good timing as well. Mountain Dragon's going to come up in 30 seconds, so you'd expect EDG to reset for that objective. Then we'll have 3 to 2 minutes of nothing much that EDG can do but wait for Baron to spawn and potentially start to play around that major objective.
Yeah, they're the easy things to take from this point. It's been super clean from EDG so far, namely from Haru, of course. Scout working well with him, having those taunts in the middle lane. iBoy and Mako yet to really get involved besides those turret takes. And I mean, the Dragon's completely free. You continue to look at the wards in the red side quadrant of RNG's side of the map, and it's not RNG's side of the map anymore. So that Dragon, almost impossible to get to. There's no access to the pit. And for RNG, whilst it's only 17 minutes and 40 seconds in the game, I would look at the Dragon spawning and say, we should probably just get vision closer to the Baron side or our blue side jungle, because you have to hold on to some kind of last bastion of hope. You need to find an area that you can pick them off.
But EDG have controlled so much of the map. They're the well-oiled machine. If ever a team is going to be able to set up for an objective and take it, it's EDG. RNG have to find a way to throw a spanner in the works, and sometime soon, because the goal is just getting larger and larger for EDG, picking up multiple objectives such as Mountain Dragon complete. Even iBoy moving towards his Zeal as his second item after the block, so you'd expect him to go towards the Hurricane Varus build instead.
That's the one. Get himself the Hurricane, some teamfight damage, hit those multiple targets as much as he can. Now's the tie. A lot overextended.
As well as Mako jumping up with his own ultimate, going to try and lock them down. iBoy's here too. Dentai is just way too deep in this top lane. EDG get a free pick.
That is a mega dead Darius, and Scout on the opposite side. He's got a good taunt.
Ooh,
oh, actually, that was
flashy coming out from Scout. Even gets the uppercut back to safety. Xiaohu wants to try and chase him down. Shen's going to join this. Flash is available. Gragas here as well. Everyone looking to lock down this Galio. RNG find a pick back for themselves.
Scout was just praying that he would get in range of an ally before they could get to him. So RNG, they still find him. They get the kill in the end, but EDG, they've already set up a structure. They're still winning this game very comprehensively. And RNG's only counterplay was to find a singular kill on a single member of EDG.
They still trade up though here, EDG taking the turret for themselves. Now onto an inhibitor, getting that down to about half of its hit points. RNG looking like they want to go for the fight. Caster throws out the ultimate, knocks 2 back into the wall. Ray is going to try and walk away from this, but they can't find any follow-up crowd control or damage. They let EDG back off.
And that's one of those things where they were looking for a 4v5. They will get enough time to get themselves a turret. It'll be the first one of the game, so let me able to put in some work on that side lane where Scout did die. It's not the worst outcome for RNG. It could have been a lot worse for them. But at 19 minutes and 45 seconds in the game, to have such little control in terms of even turrets standing on the top side of the map and in the middle of the map, Baron access is impossible for them.
And that's spawning in 3 seconds, so that should be where these teams start to dance around a little bit more. This match, we've seen Satai being playing for RNG again while Uzi's been resting and nursing his shoulder injury. Seems like EDG have been able to take full advantage of that. Lots of ganks thrown to Tai's way in the mid lane, as well as picking on Let Me top side of map whenever they could. He never died to those ganks, but made sure that Ray had a good time on this gameplay.
And it's not like Zatai is unfamiliar with the mid lane. You know, he's been a mid laner turned top laner, turned mid laner, turned top laner, turned bottom laner playing in the mid lane. He kind of knows his lanes on Summoner's Rift. It's more that EDG have played around him so expertly in their champions of choice. The Camille Galio may want to be addressed in game 2.
Hook shot coming up from Haro, but
Whoa,
they see
no Scout.
this. Hello, Scout going a little bit too deep, gets knocked back even further. RNG find a pick for themselves.
Scout having a field trip there on the Magic School Bus. I'm not sure he wanted that one. But he went in. He didn't even think about if it was a good idea. He was already in. And Haro just... I think Haro juked him into that.
Bit more breathing room for RNG at this point. How much of them using Tatai as well as Let Me in their current composition do you think is a band-aid for RNG at the moment? Or is this something they could definitely explore if the meta stays the way it is right now?
I think this is still viable exploration time from RNG for sure. RNG is, rather Uzi, has shown that he doesn't want to play things that aren't AD carries, right? There's always going to be the argument though of, like, why would you do this when Uzi can play? And that's always going to be the thing that you'd look at. But this is good time, good opportunity for RNG. They should still be able to get some solid wins on the board with just the players and team skill alone without having Uzi there.
We hope that he recovers as soon as possible. The side of EDG, lots of promise with this first match against RNG. Mistakes here and there. Scout getting caught out there was one of them. But they're still in firm control of this match. About 5,800 gold up ahead of RNG.
Yeah,
Baron
Scout
has
now. Scout has died twice through the past 2 kills that RNG have gotten. The first time was understandable because it was a big force. You know, RNG put a lot of resources into killing him, a lot of time and effort into that.
He played it the best he could to try and get away from those ganks.
And EDG were trading on the opposite side of the map. So those are the things that you take from that first one. The second one was just a big dive. One of the biggest oopsie-daisies you've ever seen from a mid laner, just dashing towards all of them. Vigilante punch. So many control wards.
It seems that EDG have moved their control ward line from the red side of RNG's jungle now to the blue side of RNG's jungle to give them better control over the Baron buff. On the way, pings are now being thrown out by EDG as they control the Rift Scuttle.
Control ward number 5 placed by EDG. They have control. No scrying orbs will be able to spot the Baron anymore, as none are available.
Someone has to step up here, and there's no vision at the moment. Ming's going to get jumped on and locked down by Haro. Pulled back over that wall. Should be another pick for EDG. Stopwatch going to keep the way a while longer. Haro down to low on hit points. Ming, boy, over the wall. Gets gobbled up by Mako to keep him alive. Scout's going to join the fight as well. But EDG don't find the pick they were looking for. Ming is able to escape.
Great disengage from RNG, namely from Ming using the stopwatch at a good time as well to get himself out. So EDG, their jungle are missing too much health. Starting this Baron is a big risk, but they are going to go for it. RNG may not even be expecting it to get started just because of Haro's health. Talia is going to check this though, is going to see it.
Sees it at half health though. Is that enough time for EDG to get there? Cannon has the teleport available. Haro goes down low, but Gangplank secures the Baron. Trying to use the Empower recall to get back to base, but RNG want to start a fight. Tatai with the first kill to kickstart a fight. Massive taunt. Great crowd control coming out from RNG. That's 2 going over towards the Darius. Scout's in trouble as well, despite the Baron going EDG's way. RNG find 4 kills.
And for some reason as as well. RNG are able to make this happen every single time. Ray will survive. They've still got a single Baron buff for EDG, but that's their top lane, and that's often their split pusher. And RNG even get an opportunity to take themselves a turret for this, and a lot of time to get some gold back into their pockets.
Showing their class. After the laning phase ganks that came out from EDG, every time they find an opportunity to take more from RNG, RNG have been at least able to trade back. Might not be equal, but they take something every single time. Mid lane outer turrets going down. They got the 4 kills after that Baron fight as well. Even top lane going to fall. Let Me takes that down. And the game is getting closer and closer. Only about 2,000 gold is going to separate these teams.
The simplest thing, like not dying in the prior trade, and EDG choosing to force this objective, gives opportunities to the Royal Never Give Up roster. Haro has no hook shot, uses it to secure the Baron, and Zatai's able to just say goodnight to him and gets the ball rolling. Let Me this whole time. Remember in that last trade, he didn't join the fray at all. Had the teleport, had the ultimate, able to come in and play Disruptor. But at the end of the day, EDG, I mean, RNG are a bit more excited than EDG would be after that play.
Don't worry, that's my face as well after that play, Rusty. Ming with the
That's actually the PogChamp face.
Ming with the massive 2-man taunt on his Shen. The follow-up coming out from Let Me to lock everyone else down and killing iBoy before Mako can bring him back to safety.
I mean, the biggest mistake here for EDG that you can understand but very clearly went wrong for them is that they choose to take the fight, or they go for the objective rather, not choosing to take the fight. They've got a Camille Galio composition, and if they don't get the kill, and they've used the combo, and then they go for the objective, well, how are they meant to team fight against their opponents, regardless of the gold lead?
True. But they're going to try and use the only Baron buff they have left on EDG, which is picked up by Gangplank. Continue pushing in the bottom lane. Missed that barrel, buddy. Doesn't matter, you got a second one. Get some damage to Casa. But Talia wall is going to be built. Doesn't separate anyone from EDG, but does delay this push.
Yeah, buys a lot of time here for RNG in particular. See if they can push mid lane. Let Me trying to chase Scout down.
Got the slow, does get the Steady United as well. Teleports coming out from EDG trying to protect their Galio. Mako joins the fight too. Stopwatch.
Everyone.
It's going to buy them some more time. Let Me's going to try and lightning rush away, but Ming's being jumped on by Haro. Trying to lock down RNG's support. Might just even get a solo kill for himself, and he does. Some assistance from EDG, but they counter the pick in the mid lane.
It may as well be solo killed there. This time RNG try to go forwards, and everybody from EDG collapses pretty much immediately. They get the single pick, and this time someone does die. There's no stopwatch, there's no flash available for Ming, so he is just doomed to die. And with that Baron buff still standing on one-member Ray, he joins the team, and they successfully push mid.
And they break the base of RNG for the first time in this series. Mid lane inhibitor turret is going to fall, inhibitor shortly after. RNG have been looking proactive and trying to find opportunities to get back into this match, and they've been pulling it closer every single time, but EDG making sure they set up for success wherever they can. And good reaction play coming out from Edward Gaming as well.
Yeah, very good. One of the strengths, of course, of a Tahm Kench, his ability to get around the rift if they're fighting in the two close lanes.
Good save coming out from Mako. Make sure iBoy is safe after Casa trying for that initiation. A little bit sloppy from Gragas.
Casa, every single time that ultimate is available, he's throwing it at iBoy, trying to take him down, but Mako always there, waiting in the wings to save his AD carry. And they haven't been knocking them towards the team, so it's a hard thing to do. At the end of the day, RNG, they were the ones who made that play in mid lane. Let Me thought he had the kill, and rightly thought that as well. You can't taunt yourself to safety as a Galio against a cannon. That actually just helps him get stuns anyway, and you slow yourself down. So they go to make the play, but they put a lot into it, and you would say almost too much with how quickly EDG can respond. And that comes back to the prior point. If you're fighting in mid and bottom, a Tahm Kench can get there instantly.
That's the benefit of the composition that EDG have picked up for themselves. You expect the same things to happen for RNG if they were in the lead. They could be the team that's pushing around the map using Xiaohu's ultimate, even Ming's ultimate to join fights whenever they need it, and even Let Me teleporting in. But it's EDG that control the game for the moment. We expect that to be the case unless RNG can find a big pick to turn around this match. And still really want to find out where that's going to be. Casa's been trying with these ultimates. They got a good fight around Baron, but the gold has always creeped back up to about 5,000 in EDG's favor.
Yeah, the one thing you'd be looking at, we mentioned the strengths of EDG's composition. When you look at RNG, they'd want to be fighting on the opposite sides of the map or in the middle of the map. The distance for a Tahm Kench to cover then on the rotation is significantly larger, and it is a lot harder to do. And look at Let Me. RNG have finally found an opportunity to put themselves in a decent position. Might buy them enough time to even push out of the lane. And that's a really deep teleport ward available for Let Me also.
He did stay for a bit, but he's not going to be in any trouble.
You have to assume he's long gone by that stage. But he wasn't. And another ward for a teleport. They have got some deep wards here, RNG, in places where you may not expect them. Scout not even checking the bush, not even clearing the ward out.
Oh well, let's see if it bites them later on in the match.
I mean, if that means something, I'll be shocked. If that particular ward translates into something.
Who knows? It could. 1%. Never count out that 1%. As Cast has been trying to with his ultimates.
The fact that RNG is still in this game is impressive, to say the least.
They've been taking back something every time EDG push forward. Hasn't been a one-sided stomp, but EDG definitely got the upper hand in the early game. Very similar compositions, means they're just executing theirs a bit better with the goal lead they have. It gives us some time to look at the items that have been picked up, because Letme's got his Rage Blade on Cannon. Fancy Dancer picked up with the Blade of the Ruined King as well. Gangplank is fairly strong, 2 items away from his complete build. Even Haru has his GA available for himself on this Camille Eyeboy with the Infinity Edge and Rapid Fire Cannon, so crits build and single damage target coming out from Eyeboy with his Varus build.
Yeah, and there's a stopwatch after the Guardian Angel for Haru as well, so he's still got the ability to use that one, completes the GA, and instead of just leaving the stopwatch as it is and not completing the GA, opts for both. I like that a lot. At the same time, top lane, he's got that Storm Razor, so the guaranteed crits on Kegs is nice to have, and is also working towards that Guardian Angel. They can dive very effectively with these items completed EDG. It's a Camille Galio, Guardian Angel starting to crop up. The chances that they start to go forwards and more aggressively is to be noted.
Gangplank still holding on to the stopwatch. I mentioned he's building towards the Guardian Angel. We'll have the Zhonya's passive if the fight breaks out before completing that item. Camille still has that as well, as you mentioned. Mako still has his own, so might be able to tank a little bit longer. Whereas for the side of RNG, it's only to tie on his Darius, as well as the Zhonya's that is complete from Xiaohu.
Nodgen is very quick.
They're going to try into Baron once again. Teleport is available for Scout, who is still sitting in base with lots of flanking wards for him. EDG take down Baron nice and early. Flank teleport comes out, looking to try and start a fight for the team, and they're going to go for it. Gameplay, big taunts! 5 members of RNG locked down! Casa tries to disengage. Not going to happen, buddy. EDG get the Baron. Now they're trying to pile on in against RNG. There's nowhere for you to run. And the clean, well-oiled machine strikes again.
And immediately Tom Kench brings Eyeboy forwards. EDG, they just need the minion wave, and they should be able to close this game out. Let me buy himself to defend against 5.
Oh no, the poor little lightning hamster is able to rush away once again. EDG going to try and hunt him down. Blast Cone is available for Let Me, but the death time is a little bit too long for the rest of his teammates. Inhibitor shortly taken down by EDG. Only the Nexus turrets left standing. Very, very decisive early game on the back of Haru. RNG tried to fight back, but EDG just too good in game 1.
You just got to go to the Baron Pit for the second time. They take the objective down. RNG just funnel into them. They've got the Galio, they've got the teleport wards available, and Scout with the 5-man taunt hits it home real hard for EDG, gets themselves the victory. Haru starts it, Scout hits it home, but good overall play from EDG as a team.
I mean, the first time that EDG took the Baron, RNG were able to spot them out a little bit too late, but still took a team fight at the end of the Baron play. This time around, EDG were a bit quicker. They took down Baron before RNG could react, and Scout with a big flanking play. He played well this match, but we're still going to be looking towards Haru, who set up the game for success for EDG.
Yeah, definitely. The Camille Galio combo as well, something that may be addressed moving into the second game, but the Camille alone seems to be the bigger deal here. Ray also on that Gangplank does get a lot of damage done. Had to group with his team when he was the only remaining Baron buff for them, but did so very effectively. And try as they might, RNG, they're a little bit too far behind, a little bit too early into this one.
And always looking towards Haru to create all those opportunities, locking down to tie in the mid lane over and over again, allowing Scout to get that lead, then moving towards top side to alleviate some of the pressure onto his own Gangplank, who scaled up tremendously into late game. Ray was able to slow down everyone in the final team fight, and after the taunt connected, after the Hextech ultimatum, dealt massive amounts of damage.
Yeah, certainly. I'd be giving the MVP over to Camille personally after that one. Haru stepped up big.
Well, we'll have to find out who actually gets that MVP, but we're going to send it back to our analyst desk to break down the match.
I think we all know who's going to get that MVP. At the end of that,
That's a jacked Galio.
it was Letman. It was Let Me. getting the Gromp at the end of the game.
Okay, let me save this.
Okay.
Someday has come. I am so sorry, Edward Gaming. How could I have ever doubted you? Forget what I said.
Let's talk about that.
No,
What was it
you
that you
already
just
messed
said?
up. Forget
What was
what
it that
I
you
said.
just said?
Someday is here. Edward Gaming just gave the best performance that they have in a very long time, specifically from Haro. Now the question is, and the casters asked this, and I'm in 100% agreement, is it just the Camille? If you eliminate Haro's limited champion pool, because to be frank, he does have quite a small champion pool, can look for the Camille, can look for the Talia, things like this, but if you push him away from kind of these OP junglers, is he as effective?
He'll go towards his tank jungles. He'll go to the Galio.
But is he as
Trundle.
effective?
No.
Thank you.
But what if you have another jungler who is effective on those tank junglers, who can fill that role like Duke and the Shy swapped in spring?
I cast
of
that
the split.
finals, and he wasn't.
Well, hey, look, we're talking about hypotheticals, right? And we just have footage of Haro putting out a spectacular Camille performance, and we've seen footage of Clearlove doing the same thing. So we have tape of the sum. I want to talk about what that actually means for this team then. Does this mean EDG are returning to that dynasty that you said they need to win this game to reclaim?
If Haro continues to play like that, absolutely, because that was from Haro to Hero right there. He had 4 ganks in 3 minutes.
Yes.
It was absurd. Burned 2 flashes and unlocked the top lane tower at 10 minutes in the game.
Yeah.
I think it was 9:38 that the top tower went down, which meant that Gangplank was rocking around with the Trinity Force so early on in the game. And then suddenly Edward Gaming say, okay, we've got a Trinity Force on a Gangplank. We have a cross-map ultimate. Let's just go hunting, boys.
It's fun. It's fun. And I think it's a combination of Haro and Mako on top of that, because that top side play that ended up breaking the game open.
Spellbook.
Boom.
Yeah.
And he ends up going to the top side of the map. So it turns into a 4v4 because the Shen comes here first to defend Karsa. Only issue is Karsa's basically dead by the time he gets there. Haro is faced with his entire team helping him out, and it's just EDG running over RNG.
Yeah, and I do want to make it very clear. While Haro did a phenomenal job setting up possible moments like that, burning the flashes, consistently making the counter ganks, things like this, ultimately that play and its huge success was the culmination?
Culmination.
Thank you. Of all of the parts of Edward Game. It's been a long day.
It really is. We've been here a while.
I've been here for a while. Because the fact is that the spellbook comes through, that the TP that Tom Kinch is able to get over there, the fact that Scout rotates over. Because if it's just Haro, it's just that 2v2, that play does not work like that. That only works out because Edward Gaming showcased the synergy, the cohesion, the fact that they have invested long-term in these players, and it paid off because that was the snowball moment.
Yeah, I just loved the fact that we got to see really Mako come in and join, just because, remember, Shen coming to the top side of the map, we knew that was going to happen. We were worried that Shen was going to be able to impact lanes that Tom Kench was not going to be able to. So now that we get to see the spellbook come through, the ultimate as well, means that they just have a semi-global composition, and it makes it so much easier for EDG to end the game when they have that advantage gifted to them.
And as you mentioned with that composition, the fact that we're seeing EDG just able to pick and choose which lane they wanted to pressure. I mean, that mid game was so almost, I hesitate to say effortless for them, because RNG looked like they were scrambling to defend time and time again, while EDG were just popping up and moving between lane to lane.
But that's the thing, is that this is still the same Edward Gaming. For all of the criticisms that we leverage at Team WE early on about like how they don't change their style, they don't fit the meta, it's not working for them, it's almost completely the opposite for Edward Gaming. All you want them to do is play their one style, and the words that you're going to keep hearing over and over again, semi-global composition, mid-game tempo base, playmakers or setup. When Edward Gaming have tempo, if they ever exit lane phase with a lead, the game is over. It is done. They are too clean, they are too crisp, and when you give them that many mobility tools, like the Tom Kench with the spellbook, like the Galio, like the Gangplank ultimate, that's what you see. You see this systematic just destroying of maps as they eat up everything.
And this is teams, team fighting teams will recognize that when they go up against our EDG, because remember what this last semifinals was? It was Rogue Warriors going up against EDG, get thrashed because of the early tempo style that they had, and the fact that the Rogue Warriors will never get to their team fight stage. They'll never end up setting up for what their composition looks for, just because EDG is able to take that really early on. So once again, we have an example of that. And now going into game 2, they just have to have an early game start, and that's the real question to RNG.
Yeah, and though we did see the tempo advantage for EDG in that game 1, the game isn't just over, Indiana. We get the chance to see team fights like the one at Baron, in which EDG were scrambled retreating and ended up losing 4 members to RNG, simply collapsing and picking up some free kills.
Yeah, and a lot of this was on the fact that Lightme had a great TP and Zatai even flashing over the wall just to get the cheeky dunk. So this is just showcasing that RNG are still a formidable opponent. They are still the best best team in the world and that if you give them an inch, they will take a mile. But ultimately, it was just a hiccup in Edward Gaming's master plan.
Yeah, because in those situations, it's a linear game. It's about Baron. A lot of it was EDG setting up for it and just really recognizing that. They just need to push RNG out of it. That was the first mistake. But remember, in the second go-around of things, EDG was able to make a very clean setup for it and push RNG away from it completely. Even this was so beautiful. 5-man taunt from Scout.
But the thing is that people will look at that and they'll just see the 5-man taunt. It wasn't just the fact that he hit all 5 members, it was how he timed it. He was sitting in base when Edward Gaming started the Baron. So 45 seconds before that taunt hints, they already know, we're gonna do the Baron. We just saw that RNG contested it. They're probably going to contest it again. I'm going to TP to this deep ward that we've already set up when we set up to take the Baron first and foremost. Picks the Wolf Camp ward, lands at the exact right moment. Like 3 seconds, he's like, okay, 1, 2, 3, flashes the wall and hits all of those people. Like it's the chain of events. You can't just look at that one isolated moment and be like, oh my god, he hit all those. But no, 3 minutes in advance. Like 40 chests.
Yeah,
and that's something
absolutely
that we
huge play. We do have to say our MVP, though, that will, in fact, go to Haro, despite the massive 5-man taunt. His jungle performance set up for his team to succeed.
Yeah, nice pose, man. I would say one thing that makes his team fighting succeed is that proper Wolf Camp ward. You made a mention of it. We've seen it from Rogue Warriors as well. Teams at the top of the league. Our top 4 teams can set up that ward consistently because when you go towards the Baron isn't the ultimate objective. It's the fight that ends the game, and EDG have been able to prove to the world that they can make that play work time and again.
In one game.
I mean, we've seen
EDG
split after split after split. I'm talking about the longevity of it. They're just trying to reach back at that moment.
Well, hey, we'll have to see if they can show us one more game, and we'll make that a 3-strike for EDG. That said, we've got that game 2 coming at you. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
想要征服他人，必先战胜自己。EDG 的队名就是鞭策我们的动力。